Hey everyone, it's Arlene. I'm back with another Tim Holtz favorite, and this is coming out of his new book, A Compendium of Curiosities. Now, I have a sample here of something that I created, and it's using a couple of Tim Holtz techniques. The background here, I used the new Tim Holtz Alterations die, and I used an embossing folder first, so I dry embossed this piece of chipboard, and it's actually not grunge board. In the book, he actually does a technique with grunge board, but I used chipboard, and this is called the double distress technique. I dry embossed it, and then I used my inking tool with shabby shutters, and I colored the whole chipboard with shabby shutters all the way down to the crevices. And then I took my Forest Moss distress ink and I rubbed the pad directly onto the chipboard, and it caught all of the recessed or the embossed images of the embossing folder of what it did to the chipboard. And then after that, I took my Forest Moss ink and I applied it onto my craft sheet, and then I turned the chipboard over and rubbed it on some more, and then I edged it with Forest Moss. So that's called the double distress technique. I'm not doing a tutorial on that today. I'm actually going to do a tutorial on this rusted grunge, and it's a really simple technique. Many of you, I'm not sure, may have tried it, but it's one of my favorite techniques, and that's why I wanted to share it with you all. So let's go ahead and get started. You're going to need a piece of chipboard, and I cut this out using the, I think it's called Findings. I'm sorry, hold on, let me find it. It's called the Hardware Findings die, Alterations die by Tim Holtz. Okay, so I cut that out in grunge board, not grunge paper, but grunge board. And grunge board is a lot thicker than grunge paper. So what you're going to go ahead and do is you're going to need several things. You'll need vintage photo, and it doesn't have to be vintage photo. You can use whatever color you'd like, but this just happens to be the colors that Tim uses in his book, A Compendium of Curiosities. So I have vintage photo distress ink and vintage photo distress embossing powder, and then you'll need some embossing ink as well. So what you want to go ahead and do is you want to grunge ink up with the embossing ink your piece of grunge. Okay, and from there, and I don't know if you've worked with distress embossing ink before, but it seems to me to be a lot more moist and sticky than Versamark. Probably more on the moist side. Okay, so you want to go ahead and pour your embossing powder onto the piece of grunge. And you're going to need a pair of good tweezers too, because you want to be able to pull that out of there. Okay, and then obviously you'll need a heat tool to emboss that. So I'm going to go ahead and emboss it. And I have my camera at a different angle here, guys, so it's just kind of strange to me. So here we go. And you want to make sure you can actually see the distress embossing powder start to sort of sizzle or bubble, and then you'll know that it's setting. It's very difficult to tell. It's not like regular embossing powder. Okay. There we go, and we want to make sure it cools off just a little bit. Just going to blow it a little bit here, just kind of speed up the process. Okay, so there we go. And then what you want to go ahead and do, let me just get my fingers. You want to go ahead and rub some of the little crystals off. And the reason you want to do this is because we are going to be taking our distress ink and we're going to sort of fill in those grooves and darken it up. So that's where you get that distressed or grunge. Okay. So you can see, I don't know if you guys can see, but some of the crystals are already rubbing off, so it's a little splotchy now. You guys see that? Okay, and let me just dust off here for a second. Okay, and then you're going to go ahead and take your inking tool, okay, your inking tool, and your Vintage Photo Distress ink. And you're just going to go ahead and ink that up. Let me just rub a little bit more off here. Okay. And then you just take your distress ink and you just rub that directly onto the grunge. And you let it sort of work its way in. Okay, and you can be very generous with the ink. Okay, and then I like to go over the edges a little bit more to darken up the sides. Sorry, my bracelet's like making a lot of noise here. Okay, so there we go. Do you guys see that? Okay, and then this is how I incorporated it into a project. And again, this technique is from a Compendium of Curiosities, which is the new book of inspiration by Tim Holtz, and this is called the Rusted Grunge technique that I just showed you. So hope you guys try it out. It's a lot of fun. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care. Bye.